All right, guys, let's take a look at our Power DOL from the Articles of Confederation. So that was Power DOL 2.4. So our first question has the title box, Articles of Confederation. So we're going to do step one, which is read the question. What does this list suggest about the drafters of the Articles of Confederation? So I'm going to underline important stuff. I'm going to start by underlining Articles of Confederation because that looks important. The word drafters is another word for writers. And then I'm going to try to remember my brain dump because if I underline Articles of Confederation, I'm going to have to know some information about it. So I remember that it had a weak federal, bear with me, government. Okay, I remember that. I remember that it was the first Constitution or slash U.S. government. Okay. So what does our box say? It says it did not grant federal power to tax or regulate commerce. That's just the economy. Did not establish a common currency, so that's going to deal with money. Did not establish an executive or judicial branch. So no president, no federal court. So what does this list suggest about the writers, that were drafters, about the Articles of Confederation? So they didn't want federal power here. They didn't give federal power in the executive or judicial branch. Okay, so they did give it weak federal power. No strong federal power, weak federal power. So let's look at our answer choices. They did not want a judicial system based upon that of Great Britain. Well, it does talk about judicial, but that's not the whole thing. They feared that a strong central government would abuse its power. Okay, well, it talks about here not giving power to the federal government. We already said weak federal government here. They were uncertain that democracy would continue to be the best type of government. They did not want, or I'm sorry, they did not think that state governments could provide for the general welfare. Okay. The answer choice would have been G. Okay. The Articles of Confederation wanted weak federal government. Okay. They feared, strong central government would abuse their power. They wanted a weak federal government. That's why they did not give them things in this box. Okay. All right, we're going to move up. Question 2, why was it difficult for Congress to fulfill its duties under the Articles of Confederation? Okay. Well, I'm going to underline Articles of Confederation. I'm going to do my brain dump just like I told you earlier. So it had a weak federal government. I'm going to abbreviate government. Oops, feral. That too. Weak federal government. All right, so why was it difficult for Congress to fulfill the duties? So we talked about this, but I didn't have you guys brain dump it. We talked about how many states that it took for any decision to get made. Okay, so any congressional action required executive approval. Well, we already just established in the question above that there wasn't even an executive branch, so that can't be the case. Congress lacked the power to declare war. That's not true either. That was also in our notes. Most congressional decisions require the approval of at least 9 states, or Congress lacked the power to regulate foreign trade, and that is not true as well. So that magic number that we talked about was that magic number 9. They had to have 9 out of 13. They used 9 out of 13 people couldn't decide where to go to lunch, much less make Congress make decisions. Next question. In 1787, the United States was at a crossroads. Farmers in western Massachusetts had rebelled the year before over property taxes. The state struggled to end the, that word, rebellion. Events such as this one contributed to the decision too. I remember talking about this when the word rebellion just sparked my memory. I believe it was called Shays Rebellion. Right? Farmers weren't getting paid by the federal government because the federal government wasn't getting paid by the states. The states couldn't get paid by the farmers. It was a vicious cycle. Okay? So these events such as this contribute to the decision too, because the federal government didn't have the power to tax. They realized that they did not have enough power at all. So, did they sign the Treaty of Paris, repeal the Intolerable Acts, declare an embargo on imported goods, or restructure the federal government? Well, we decided that the Shays Rebellion led to a new constitution, right? They needed a stronger constitution. Stronger Fed government. Okay, so the answer would be restructure the federal government. So I'm going to underline federal government. Don't laugh. Next, why were Southern delegates, these are representatives, to the Constitutional Convention, that looks important, willing to accept the 3/5 compromise? All right, so Constitutional Convention, I need my box, where's the box? Constitutional Convention, that's where we're gonna write the new strong federal Constitution. I know that's misspelled. And I did it again. Okay, 3/5 compromise. I know that that was having to do with the slave population for representation. Okay, so why were the Southern delegates to the Constitutional Convention, where they were trying to build a new strong federal constitution, willing to accept the 3/5 compromise? The 3/5 compromise was dealing with the slave population for representation. Was it to increase political influence in the South, allowed indentured servants in the South to become citizens, or it decreased federal tax on property in the South, or it allowed the South to expand in its industrial output? Okay, so Southern delegates, 3/5 compromise, representation would have increased political influence, because we use that word representation, right? Representation, political representation. And the last question, it's not fitting. Okay. You guys can't see it, but it's okay. So, Constitutional Convention puzzle. Which of the following should replace the question mark in this diagram? So, Virginia Plan, we said was large states. Okay. In the South. New Jersey Plan was small northern states. So, which of the following should replace it? This is just one that you have to know. They took the small plan, the large plan, and they created the Great Compromise.